Hey San Diego, welcome back to the Apartment Geek Weekly. It's Friday and the fall weather is in full effect and I love it. This is the time of the year that I look forward to as a San Diegan all year long is kind of that October, November, December crispness. The sunsets are beautiful. So life is good. I hope everybody out there is doing great and staying healthy. This week, I thought I would talk about something that I've been kind of guilty in not following through with for myself and my own portfolio of apartment buildings. And I think it's wise and just really smart business. And I think there's a lot of advantages that come from practicing what I'll talk about for a few minutes. And that is a yearly safety visit, or call it inspection visit, to each one of your apartment buildings. Why this is so important, this is really, I always say CYA, cover your ass. And it's so important because what we're doing here as landlords is we're running small businesses in the form of these apartment rentals. And the number of buildings that I go look at for owners and who are interested in potentially selling it, and the number of dilapidated properties with all kinds of issues is just mind-boggling. And I'm always surprised when I go look at a lot of real estate and there's broken things, there's trip hazards, there's roots that have lifted concrete parts way up, there's cement stairs that are broken. There's all kinds of issues where if there ever was an insurance situation and somebody comes and sues you, we have insurance, but we never want to put ourselves in a situation where somebody says we're negligent or we were negligent, etc. So this is my proposal, and this is something that I'm going to take on as a person. I'm taking responsibility for this. This is my suggestion. Daylight savings happens twice a year in March and November. I think November 1st this year. Pick one of those dates where the time changes. Use that as your little indication alarm. Set a note in your smartphone, and the next day, like literally I think it's November 2nd is a Monday. I'm taking a 2-hour block of time in my day. It's already notated on my calendar, and I'm going to map out all the different properties, and I'm going to go make a visit to each one. And this time I'm not going to do an interior inspection. I'm going to do that next time. This one I'm going to have a pad of paper, and each property I'm going to have a little written, I'm going to document my visit. It's super simple. I'm going to notate my visit and anything I saw, any changes, anything going on in the neighborhood, if there's new construction, if there's new commercial in the vicinity, stuff that I kind of noticed from making a visit out there. I'm going to make a note of that. And if there's anything that's broken, you should have some money, some saving money in your property bank account to take care of handyman things if you see something that potentially is an issue. I always think trip hazard, because we don't want to trip and fall where somebody comes and tries to sue us or take advantage of the situation. But document kind of what you see, anything that you did. You can be very simple, a couple sentences, and then do that for each property. For my personal portfolio, I think there's 8 different assets throughout the county. So actually it may take a little bit longer than 2 hours, but I'm going to make one per property. When I get back to my office, I'm going to scan those in as like a PDF or put them into onto the computer. And then I'm going to email them to me and just basically save it in a folder, save it in the property file, so that if there's ever an issue, you have a once a year documented, kind of a time-stamped visit to the property where you can if you ever get into a situation with the insurance company or some sort of person is trying to sue, then you can make a case that you did your best to not be negligent as a landlord. And given the amount of dilapidated, old, rundown buildings I see out there, I frankly think that a lot of investors are playing with fire. And I know a lot of these owners are very passive, and they're not out there looking at their real estate. And a lot of them have management companies that frankly don't do a good job and don't really care. And the that gap between the management and the owner care could potentially cause, it's causing real liability for owners out there. So this is a good way to stay on top of what the property is appearing like when you visit it. It's also a great way to see if there's any changes in the neighborhood. Maybe there's trash, or there's a couch, on the side of the property, or there's things that it's nice to make a visit to the asset once in a while. I know everybody out there is guilty, not everybody, but there's a lot of owners that just are super hands off and passive, which is the great thing about multifamily, as I always talk about. But make a once a year deal. And I actually got this idea from an owner, I don't know, many years ago, who said on daylight savings time, that was his notation to go out and to go look and do a safety visit to his properties. I've talked about it for 2 or 3 years, and I just have been lazy, and it's not important enough. But I don't want to find myself ever being told that I wasn't on top of my businesses, and that I overlooked issues or anything that was broken, or say there's a fence that's falling over, anything like that may that somebody could turn into a take advantage situation. So that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if there's anything out there that you want me to elaborate on. We're coming into a very interesting time with the election in a couple of weeks, and it's kind of this wild time where there's really, frankly, there's a lot of uncertainty on what's going to happen, and there's a lot of noise out there. So for us, it's just kind of keeping to the basics, and fortunately, we're still real busy. There's a lot of owners out there that are still trying to strategize on making moves or planning a sale. So onward and upward. The Apartment Geek is out. All the best.